We are at Yale University with an incredible baseball coach who's influenced so many lives over the course of the year and has his team primed for a tournament run, Hamm.
You can't appreciate how special this place is until you're in it. We have these amazing facilities and a world-class weight room. The Ivy League is one of those conferences that they're saying, well, wait a second, I can play high-level baseball and get outstanding education.
Welcome back to another episode of On the Subject. I'm your host, Michael Velardo, co-founder, CEO of Subject, Subject.com, Subject.ai. You know where to find us. This is an incredibly special day today. We're at one of the most historic universities in the entire world. This brand is iconic with excellism, being able to go wherever you want in your life and being able to value that education. So take this seriously. We are at Yale University with an incredible baseball coach who's influenced so many lives over the course of the year and has his team primed for a tournament run. Hamm, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for coming. Welcome to Yale.
I am so excited to be here. We're in beautiful New Haven. The campus is absolutely stunning. What brought you to Yale?
Oh, I appreciate that you mentioning New Haven because New Haven is a very big part of the Yale experience and my experience. It actually goes way back in that a number of my family members have been a part of Yale. My brother attended here, graduated in 2005.
Wow, let's go.
My aunt was volleyball coach here. My other aunt was the captain of the field hockey and softball teams, graduating in '81, which being a captain at Yale is a big deal. We only have one in all of our sports, and it's historically been that way, and it's voted by the players. So for her to be two-sport captain at Yale is a big deal.
That's amazing.
My father went to the University of New Haven, played baseball here for Porky Vera, who's a very well-known coach in college baseball. For what he accomplished. So all of that, and then my wife did her general surgery rotation and is now an attending surgeon at Yale New Haven Hospital. So that originally brought us to New Haven. I came here before I started coaching. So we've been living here for over 10 years and we absolutely love it.
Well, fantastic. So we'd usually wait till the end for this or that, but I got to throw one in right away. Frank Pepe's or Sally's?
Pepe's.
Okay, there we go. So, hey, you heard it here first. This is the pizza capital of the country.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this.
Yes, it is.
New Haven over New York and Chicago. This is the place to be for pizza and Frank Pepe's. We have the facts there. So when we talk about Yale Baseball, for someone unfamiliar with Yale Baseball, what do you believe Yale Baseball stands for? What do you want represented in the public eye in Yale Baseball?
Absolutely. Well, Yale Baseball is a reflection of Yale University and our athletics department. And one of the things that I'm a big believer in is that programs win championships. And we rely on all things within the athletics department and the university for us to have the success that we're having now. And we want to be a championship program. But in order to do that, we rely on the resources that we're getting, not only from the talented players that we bring in, the coaching staffs, but also our outstanding sports medicine and strength and conditioning programs and all things athletics department. So when we talk program, I refer to all the things and all the resources that we benefit from. But then ultimately at the end of the day, with the players and our coaching staff, it's about the people that we bring into the team and ultimately, again, the program and people who are highly talented and extremely motivated and passionate for everything that they do. One of the things that we talk about within the team is that we look for players who have high character, who care deeply about different things in their life, their family, their friends, obviously baseball, their intellectual pursuits. That when they wake up, they care about things in life. And then if they can also compete, right? Like that's incredibly important to us in terms of building a championship program, is that are you competitive, and in the face of adversity, are you somebody who is going to thrive in that environment? And so those are the real three things that, again, I feel serve as the foundation for what Yale Baseball is, and it allows us to perform the way that we do, both at practice and in games, with many of the things that we're practicing in terms of the fundamentals in the inner game, to take all those things that I just mentioned and put them together on the field in a competitive environment.
No, and you've done a fantastic job here. You look at the program since you've taken over, some of the recruits you brought in, these are top draft pick prospects. What has been the biggest change in being able to get those players to come to Yale? Like, it's been so impressive. I played in the Ivy League a while ago, and I aged myself. It's over 10 years ago now. We did not see top 3-4 round draft picks, but you're landing them consistently.
We have been, and historically, Yale baseball has always been able to attract highly talented baseball players who've ended up in the major leagues, and baseball men who think the game and are passionate about the game and go on and either run major league teams, whether it's the 3 general managers that we currently have.
Yeah, let's give them a shout out. Who are the 3?
Yeah, so Mike Elias, Craig Breslow, and Rob Serpolio.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
3 GMs in MLB from Yale baseball.
Yep, and then obviously with Theo Epstein, his involvement, he was the writer for the Yale Daily while he was here for the baseball team, and is actively involved in our program now.
So cool.
And then Yale's produced 2 commissioners of Major League Baseball with Faye Vincent, who became a friend of mine before he passed, and then Bart Giamatti, who was the president of Yale and a beloved commissioner. And then Steve Greenberg, who's the deputy commissioner under Faye, who's a managing partner at Allen & Company, Hank Greenberg's son. Very talented baseball player who ended up playing professional as well. So we've been able recently to bring in some higher profile players, and then actually some who had gotten drafted and signed before coming to Yale.
Well, and that's what I wanted to talk about, because that's a different circumstance too. Like, again, testament to what Yale baseball does and the recruiting talent you have and your staff. To have someone not end up on campus shows that you recruited someone who was even that highly sought after. That's extreme. I've never heard of that in Ivy League baseball.
Yes, and again, I think what people are beginning to see and appreciate about the Ivy League, especially as there's more exposure through social media and with ESPN and all the broadcasts and the success that Ivy League teams are having at the national level, but then also that our players have had on the national level, the ones who go play their 5th year in the SEC or the ACC and end up in the College World Series and get that exposure for the league, combined with how the recruiting at the national level of high school players has changed dramatically as a result of NIL and the transfer portal, in that the Power 3 schools are taking more and more players out of the transfer portal as opposed to true freshmen, right? So traditionally what you had seen prior to the portal is that the vast majority of incoming players every year to any Division I team were true freshmen out of high school. Well, now at the high level of Division I, in the Power 3, the majority of those players, for the most part, are coming out of the portal. So they're college players, which means there are less opportunities for highly talented high school players who can play in the Power 3, but may not have that opportunity anymore. And so many of them are looking elsewhere, in the Ivy League is one of those conferences that they're saying, well, wait a second, I can play high-level baseball, get an outstanding education, have outstanding resources and coaching and a great experience, and compete for championships. And so now we're able to access, the Ivy League is able to access higher level players than we've ever had before.
I love that.
And as a result, it's really raised the level of the talent, but also the competition within the league, and then how the league's able to perform nationally.
That's fantastic insight. And so we talk about raising the level of competition within the league. You talk about the true freshman mentality. Do you have any transfers on your roster today?
We do.
Where they transferred from?
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, a great school.
Pitcher from Wake Forest.
Oh, that's a great school and program. Were they a freshman or sophomore when they end up after transferring?
They transferred as a sophomore.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah. So there are some opportunity. And again, for the fans out there, a long time ago, I did transfer to Penn, but it is more competitive to transfer in the Ivy League program.
It is. I mean, Yale as an institution doesn't take many. And it has to be the right fit, not only academically, but also in terms of what they're looking for. And one of the neat things about Yale is that we bring students from all different backgrounds, from all over the world. And so there is room for students who transfer in for different reasons. We had a transfer right when I got here from Duke, also another pitcher. And he's a Clark Lieutenant. He's now, as a matter of fact, an infantry platoon commander in the Marines.
That's amazing. Thank you for his service.
Yeah, while he was here.
Well, he's an ROTC.
So the Marines officers training.
Marines officer training and playing baseball full
And playing
time.
baseball.
That's impressive, man.
Yeah. Well, he's leading 50 Marines now, so.
But that's the character you get being a student athlete at Yale, and the leadership from your team is absolutely exceptional. You know, what, in your opinion, separates Yale from the other Ivy Leagues? Why should I choose Yale over the other 7?
The people. The people here are really special. And it's not just in the baseball program or the athletics department, but one of the things that I feel separates Yale University and our students and our faculty and the people, our staff we associate with this place is that they've ultimately come here for the right reasons. And it's one of the most challenging aspects of the recruiting process, which is to find the institution that resonates with you for the right reasons. It was one of the experiences that when I was at Amherst, it was, as I was a recruiter, I had to search out the students who were looking at Amherst for the wrong reasons, because it's in a really cool college town right across the street from UMass, right? It's an outstanding school. So you'll open up U.S. News and World Reports, and it's either number 1 or number 2 every year.
Yep, Adam Williams. Yep,
Right?
I love it. U.S. News, check that out. I told you.
And so oftentimes the students who may not have gotten into an Ivy League school will say, okay, well, where can I play good college baseball? Which, as again, I mentioned, the Ivy League, in terms of the level of talent and competition, has continued to increase. Well, it's been a trickle-down effect to other levels within Division I and then the highest levels of Division III. So those players who aren't getting to the Ivy League are looking to the Patriot League or some other conferences, and then also at the NESCAC, which is
I love the NESCAC.
Amherst is in Middlebury, my alma mater.
And you were a two-sport at Middlebury.
And I was a two-sport, yes, and that's a dying breed, unfortunately, within college sports and within the NESCAC, but it was a truly special experience to be able to play both. I mean, you being a hockey and baseball guy. But anyway, when I was at Amherst, one of the things as I was recruiting baseball players was to search out the ones who were looking at Amherst for the wrong reasons, right? Because they saw in U.S. News Reports, okay, it's number 1 and it's in this really cool college town and it's going to set me up to be successful in life and potentially make a lot of money if that's something that I want to do in financial services and whatnot. And I didn't want those guys. I wanted, and I continue to search out the baseball players who want Yale for the right reasons, right? And oftentimes, I find that being in New Haven is actually an asset to Yale. Because, first of all, New Haven's awesome. Like I said, I've lived here for over 10 years and actually lived across the street from Sally's and down the street from Pepe's.
We went to Pepe's last night. We went to Pepe's, so we're pretty pumped.
And it's your classic small American city with all of its strengths and all of its weaknesses. It's real, right? And one of the things that at Yale that we take pride in is that we are preparing our students for the real world. Not just for the real world, but lead within it and to make impactful change in whatever area that they go into, whether that's to become the president of the United States. Yale Baseball has produced 2 presidents of the United States.
Unbelievable.
Whether it's to be a world-renowned surgeon like my wife, or go into education, be an outstanding educator. But you have to understand how the world works in order to do that. And to live in a city like New Haven where we have all of the perks of a cool college town, because it's not just Yale here, it's Southern Connecticut, and it's Albertus Magnus, it's University of New Haven, and it's Quinnipiac, right? It's a cool college town, right? And so with that comes great food and great culture and great educational institutions and all of the businesses that follow as a result of that. And at the same time, it's a city, right? And so you get to understand and learn about the world through living in a city like New Haven. But it's not the Shangri-La that some of these other schools, some of these other Ivy League schools and other top tier high academic institutions are, right? That, and I won't name them, but like the schools that look like they're set in a J. Crew catalog.
Yeah.
And my point is that when our recruits visit Yale, they see New Haven for what it is, and we're set right in downtown. It's a great downtown. It's really cool. But oftentimes New Haven gets this reputation that I think it's undeserving of. And they go visit these other schools and they say, oh, I want to go somewhere that's really, it's sexy and it's like I said, it's right out of the J. Crew catalog. And well, that's not the real world, right?
Not at all.
And so when our recruits visit here, they identify what the ones that end up at Yale in our program identify with the areas of Yale that are truly special to them in terms of what they're looking for. And ultimately, if they end up choosing to come here, it's for the right reasons. It's not because we're at the top of U.S. News and World Reports. It's not because we have this magnificent, iconic campus that's architecturally significant. It's not because we have these amazing facilities and a world-class weight room with the perch machines and the 1080s, and you go to our weight room, which
we can't wait. We're going later.
And it's like it's a SEC weight room, right? But I want our players to choose Yale because there are things about this place in terms of the people and how we run our baseball program and how we invest ourselves in baseball and our teammates. And all of those reasons are why I want someone to be like, that's where I want to be. And then ultimately they get here, and because they chose it for the right reasons, they're happy. And so if you walk around campus, if you get to know our guys, our students and our athletes are happy. And I think that's
super important.
Biggest challenge today for athletes, especially at the Division I levels. All of these pressures that we've layered onto them from social media and expectations and coming from travel ball and, you know, all the access to stats and information.
Yeah.
When I played, like, you couldn't find my stats.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Which
see
is
that.
nice, because then if you have an 0 for 4 game, you're going to chill.
Right?
That's good.
And so there are all of these pressures, especially at an Ivy League institution, that for your student athletes to be truly happy, to wake up in the morning, be excited about their day, excited about going to lift in the morning, then going to class, then going to practice, and being around all these different people who are also highly motivated in what they do. And that's one of the cool things about an Ivy League institution, is that you're constantly you're interacting with people who are not only the most successful in their field in the world,
Yes.
or students who are some of the brightest people of their age in the world, but that they're highly motivated and passionate about what they're doing and about life, that you're immersed in this culture that is constantly challenging you and constantly pushing you and constantly allowing for you to also challenge yourself to perform at the highest level in everything that you do in your day. And so between choosing Yale for the right reasons and being immersed in this culture of people also being excited about what they do and who they are, and then lastly, to have people be super supportive of what you do. One of the coolest things about Yale is that Yale embraces its athletic teams. President Salve, our president before President McGinnis, openly stated about the importance and the impact that athletics has on the overall educational experience at Yale, in that we celebrate our athletes because of the dedication and the commitment they make not only to athletics, but also to succeed in the classroom and to do other things within our campus community that make this place a better place for all of our students and for our faculty and for our staff. And so our athletes are able to go throughout their day feeling celebrated, being supported by, again, the people that they're learning from, or the people that, even like, for example, our staff here, whether it's the people who are cleaning the residence halls or serving the food. We're going to go to one of the coolest dining halls in the country.
It's like Hogwarts, right?
It's like, it's cool. Like, when you're around people who are excited about what they do and passionate about this institution and take pride in having Yale across their chest, and that cool. They're prideful at the men's basketball teams having the success that they are at the national stage, and the baseball teams having success, and our women's volleyball teams unstoppable. That makes you feel good in life, right? And then you get to practice, and you want to compete, and you want to work hard. And so we're really fortunate to have that environment. And so that's what I feel. It's a long-winded answer, but that's what I feel separates.
The passion is beyond infectious, and honestly, you make me want to go back to college. Like I said, it's so cool how much you fight for your players and what you're building here. It's so special. But before we dive in more on Yale, because I love where we're headed with this, I did want to stop on Amherst and Middlebury for a second. You know, because we talk a lot about here how much we care about education, and obviously Yale, you can't compete with Yale. Yale is the best of the best. But if you're going to a lower end D1 versus the chance to go to a great D3 academic school, could you help elaborate to our listeners on why it's so important to make sure you prioritize education? The goal is to go to Yale. We want to make that clear. But like, if you are, you know, stuck between like a mid-market, low-end D1 academic school versus a high-end D3 school, we oftentimes encourage everyone to say, hey, please prioritize your education. It's going to last the longest.
So I feel that it's important to make a distinction between the educational experience and the academic experience. The academic experience is just one part of the overall educational experience that you're receiving in college.
Agreed.
And I firmly believe that Yale exports leaders. Yale University exports leaders who have learned how to have an intellectual enterprise and to pursue that and to be challenged within it, to learn how to interact and engage with people. And then within athletics, to aspire toward greatness in the sport that they play and learn how to do that. And along that journey, whether it's 3 or 4 years, we teach them how to lead in life. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have in this country, is that we have all these outstanding leaders who need to lead.
Yep.
And at Yale, we teach them how to do that and have the conviction to do it. We were fortunate to meet with President Bush for an hour.
Wow.
2 years ago when we played Rice.
Oh, yeah, because it was at Houston area. Right?
Yeah, well, so he was up in Dallas. We played Rice, 3-game set. Had a great experience there, swept them, and then went up to President Bush's presidential center and met with him. And one of the things that he talked about was the importance to look out for people who were less privileged than you, who didn't have the same access to the experiences that you've had, and the importance of acting on your strengths to help people who are less fortunate than you. And I feel at Yale, we teach our students the understanding and appreciation of that. So the first thing that's most important when you look for colleges is to understand how they educate. And that's not just, okay, they're really good academically. We're outstanding in terms of the academic mission of this institution. We're one of the best in the world at it. But we're also equally outstanding in how we educate people to understand their impact within a community, whether that's the community of the baseball team, whether it's the community of New Haven, whether it's a larger community. And if a parent or if an aspiring high school student can appreciate that it's not about just the academics, and it's not just about whether it's Division I or Division III, but instead about the educational experience, they can then seek for schools that are really good at educating, that are the right fit for that athlete. And sometimes that's Division III. So when I was at Amherst, especially at Eastern Connecticut, we won the national championship.
That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thanks. And we're potentially, and maybe Coach Decker up at Harvard will disagree with this because his Trinity team was very good when they won the national championship. Arguably the best Division III team ever.
Yeah.
And we played at a level of many Division I teams. But people may not be able to appreciate that because we're playing within Division III. And so it's hard for people to appreciate who are not in it to understand that there are Division III teams that are better than some Division I teams.
Correct, yeah.
And there are Division III experiences that are much more rewarding than you might have just because you decide to go to Division I.
Yep.
And so what I suggest that students do is seek out the educational experiences that they're going to get. And oftentimes those are also associated with the schools that have the highest and strongest academic reputation. But in order to do that, you have to start to identify what's important to you in those 4 years that you're going to receive that education.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that context. So let's bring it back to Yale here. So what are your non-negotiables within your program?
We often don't have to talk about non-negotiables, partially because I'm fortunate in that Yale attracts a certain type of aspiration amongst our baseball players in the recruiting process. And we are very clear about our standards and expectations in terms of how our players carry themselves, again, not only as people, but as competitors as well. And so we're so focused, and then also we don't have a lot of time to waste on guys who will be doing something that's a distraction to the program. And so we often are very clear in very simple terms about the expectations of how our players carry themselves, which is ultimately to be fully invested in everything that they do within baseball, whether that's the way that they support their teammates, whether that's the way that they're taking swings in batting practice, or it's towing the rubber on the mound, to be intentful in what they do. And because, again, we're fortunate in that it's somewhat self-selecting in terms of, again, this is an amazing place. And so oftentimes people who want what Yale is and the people here who they are will identify with that. And so often we're bringing in people who in the recruiting process are already on board with how we run our program. So it's pretty easy in terms of making sure that once they're here that they're on board.
Absolutely. And so 3 words to describe Yale baseball.
Present, aggressive, and winning.
I like that you said aggressive because you talked about you guys play a really aggressive, fast-paced style. Can you tell the listeners more about that? Because a lot of people don't describe baseball as aggressive. I absolutely love that, and I like to be an aggressive player too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the foundation for the way that we teach is teaching our coaches and our players to be present in the moment, which I feel is the foundation for everything that we should be doing in life, right? To be present right now in our conversation, or when you're walking around campus, can you be present in the moment, whether it's because you're walking up to somebody and you make eye contact and say hello, or you're present because you want to appreciate your surroundings. Well, then that translates to being present on the baseball field, right? In that, can you be present in the moment in whatever you're doing on the field at that time, whether it's you're on the bench supporting your teammates and not getting distracted about whatever somebody on the bench could get distracted by, or it's can you be taking batting practice with Coach Keene and being present in the moment on what you're working on and not being distracted by the exam that you have tomorrow, or
That's tough, yeah.
and it's difficult, especially for a college athlete who's 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, who hasn't learned how to be present, partially because there's so many distractions in their life.
so
There's
much
social
harder,
media,
yeah.
and our minds are getting dulled by constantly being on our cell phones,
Always
or
on
we're
the
in
phone.
front of our computer. We're in the classroom during the day, and we're sitting in a chair listening to a professor profess, right? And we're taking notes, and then eventually we're going to study that information, and then take a test, regurgitate what we learned on the test. Well, then they get to Bush Field, and we're incorporating our entire body and syncing our mind and our body, and need to be present in the moment, because here comes a 92-mile-an-hour fastball in on the hands, right? In order for us to be aggressive in terms of how we play the game, I mean, we are a very situationally oriented offense, in terms of we have the ability to advance base runners by playing what would be considered small ball, and we at the same time can drive the ball for power. Our pitchers are very aggressive in terms of how we attack the zone and get ahead of hitters and force them
Walk
to put
skill.
our pitchers in place, right? Exactly. And in order to develop that mentality, again, our players have to be present in the moment to be able to execute, both in terms of what the play is in that moment, but then to react to what the game gives us. And through being present, we're able to teach our players how to have awareness about what they're doing, and again, to react to the situation how it changes, but then also for them to be able to make adjustments so that way they can continue to develop as players, as hitters, as fielders, and as pitchers. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can have awareness of what your body is doing in the moment, then that's the beginning of being able to make adjustments, or to continue to build on the technical strengths that you have. And that's essentially the beginning of the foundation of how we compete. And so if you watch us in a game, you can appreciate the level of presence that each of our players has in that moment for what their responsibility is. And it allows for us to be very intentful in towards of what we're doing in that moment. And it's fun to watch. I mean, we steal home.
I love that. That's
we do
awesome.
some pretty cool things that as a fan, you can appreciate.
Yes.
We do it really well because we're rooted in the fundamentals of the game, and then it gives guys freedom to play within it.
So since you've taken over, what's changed the most about Yale baseball?
Well, Yale's continuing to invest in all of our resources, to include all things for the baseball program. Bush Field, we did a major renovation. It used to be Yale Field. It was built in 1927, so it's coming upon 100 years.
It's still got a very large fence.
It does, yeah. It's still
Hit bombs.
yeah, and it still has which you'll see the scoreboard in center field that serves as the batter's eye and his manual, and has the same lights that Fenway does. And I mean that ballpark is not only historic because of its beauty and its age and history, but also for who's played there, right? And so our players and our hitters, for example, when they're stepping to the box, it's the same batter's box that Ted Williams and Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Derek Jeter stood
incredible.
in. And then on the mound, Ron Darling and Doc Gooden, because it used to be home to New Haven Ravens and other professional teams as well. And that history and that lineage is pervasive, right? Like as a player, you step onto the field and you can appreciate the legacy of the people who've come before you, and the importance of living up to that legacy and that standard of excellence. And we've renovated that over the years to include most recently. So one of the most, or the biggest changes that we've had is that we've really improved our facilities and are continuing to do so again around the 100-year anniversary of the field. We have a brand new sport performance facility that, as I mentioned, has the best resources for our athletes, not just in the weight room, but within sports medicine and player recovery and nutrition. And then we continue to invest in the player experience as well. I would say those are the major differences from the athlete experience. And then, like Ed mentioned, the game has changed so much in terms of recruiting that the player that we now have access to has changed significantly, especially since the adoption of NIL and the transfer.
So do Yale baseball players have access to NIL, or how does that work?
They do. So all athletes have the access to NIL. It's protected by the law. And Yale does a number of ways to promote our athletes' access to NIL, to include, for example, like you could go on our rosters and actually check out some of the NIL.
I noticed that too, and you got access to their social medias now on the roster. I think that's fantastic that you really promote the players that way. When a student athlete walks in with their parents on a recruiting visit, what stands out the most to them that they wouldn't understand from just a podcast?
Certainly, again, like I said, the people here are special, and they care about you. Whether you're just visiting on campus and you want to be, someday at Yale, or it's just somebody visiting. I mean, the number of bus tours, for example, that we have roll through here.
I saw a Yale football tour when I was walking over here. I was like, let me take a break and go enjoy this.
Yeah, and so, like I had mentioned, people are really happy here. They take a lot of pride in Yale, and they want other people to see what a special place this is. And so and that's probably the biggest challenge in our recruiting process is you can't appreciate how special this place is and the experience that you would have here until you're in it. So recruits can come visit and they can see the great facilities and they can interact with our guys and see that they're great guys. And they could see this campus and, again, the outstanding faculty and all the experiences that you'd have. You can't appreciate how special this place is until you're in it. And that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, we got to be in it. This is so much fun. And so we're going to go into recruiting deep dive. Where are you finding your players? How do you go about it? So, firstly, what's the primary way that you recruit players between travel ball, high school ball, showcases, camps? Like, what's the rough split and why is that for Yale?
Yeah, so we find players from all over. And in order to do that, and if you look at Yale's roster, we have players from all over the country. Especially from the South and Texas and Florida and California and Georgia and North Carolina. And that's one of the special things about what makes Yale a special place is that we bring students from all over the world, to include next year a player coming in from the Czech Republic, from Canada.
Oh, very cool.
And you have the opportunity to play alongside players who've come from different styles of baseball because of where they played within the country or within the world. But also have different backgrounds and thoughts and ideas and aspirations. And in order to do that, we recruit in every facet of travel baseball and youth baseball, whether that's obviously going to high school games or recruiting through high school coaches to travel ball and going to the top national tournaments, whether it's going down a Lake Point and Perfect Game, and then different camps. Like we've been really fortunate that there are coaches who look out for our program that we've become friends with it within the Power 3 that have invited us to work their camps.
That's fantastic. That's great.
It not only allows for our coaches to learn from other coaches at that school, but other coaches that are working it, but then also to identify players that might be a really good fit for Yale. And then our own camps and different showcases and other tournaments throughout the country.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so when they're trying to reach out to you, how many emails a day do you get?
A lot. Depends on where we are in the year, but we get a lot of emails.
What about could they DM you? Do you ever get DMs?
Yeah, and that's actually, so one of the challenges I feel for parents is understanding the impact of social media within recruiting, in the recruiting landscape now. And social media has so many strengths, but there are also some concerns that parents have with social media, especially for their child as they're maturing, right? But social media and Instagram and being able to DM allows for instant access for coaches to learn more about players that is faster and more accessible than an email. And so what we've learned is that obviously it allows for us to canvas more throughout the country, and it allows for players to access college coaches more and to interact.
What socials are you on?
So we do Instagram, obviously Twitter.
Yep. Why is Twitter so big for baseball?
Well, it allows for access to more content and video, and then it again allows for us to canvas so we can identify, okay, we're looking for these certain aspects, for example, whether it's academic with SAT or ACT scores or GPA that we can search for, but then also it allows for us to look at the statistical information that we're looking for in terms of running speed and bat speed, but then to pair that with seeing video and then keeping track and following players.
Well, so can you give us a couple of good clips? What type of 60-yard dash are you looking for?
Well, it depends on the position as well, right? And so obviously if you're a center fielder, running a 6.60 is important, right? Yeah. If you're running a 6.9 or a 7.60 time, like you need to have some other attributes to offset. And that's one of the things that we look for, generally speaking, in players, is that they don't have to fit a certain mold, but they certainly have to bring certain attributes to be able to impact the game at our level. And so they may be a slow runner, but they offset that with their approach at the plate and their hitting abilities, for example, or their fielding ability. So it's not just one cookie cutter thing that we're looking for, but certainly different things that they can bring to add to our system.
So when you talk about the way that be able to get a hold of you, what's the most important thing to stand out for an email? Like, what makes a good email? Is it the subject line? Is it attachments? What makes it?
I would say short and to the point.
Concise
because
is good.
Yeah. Coaches receive so many of them that we don't have time to be reading through a whole email. And I think one of the mistakes that high school players make is that they don't appreciate the context of how many recruits and how much time we spend on recruiting and emails that we're receiving. And so we don't have time to read through a full email that's going to take 2 minutes to read, because there's 30 more emails in our inbox that we have to go through, and we also have to again canvas Instagram and Twitter, and we're talking to travel ball coaches, and we're still talking with the players who have already committed to Yale, and on top of that we're scouting our opponent and getting ready for our games that week, and then we're practice planning and we're interacting with our guys. And you start to add the time that all that takes. The shorter and to the point that you can be in contacting coaches, the better.
What makes a good video?
The ability for us to see somebody up front, like close up, and then identify that, for example, the hitters, the type of pitch that's coming in, so that way you can get a sense of, okay, what's the speed of the pitch that they're driving, whether it's in a game or in batting practice. And then also, for pitchers, again, to see the full body, so that way we can start to analyze their throwing mechanics and technique, and get a sense of projecting forward to college level, the success that they would have, and not to be too long again. So that way we can see a bunch of reps in a short amount of time.
Does the communication style of the player mean anything to you during the outreach?
It means everything.
Okay. Tell us more.
So we interact with our players a lot. And you'll see our offices are right next to the locker room and right at the field. So we interact with our guys constantly. And we're a small team. We're one of the smaller rosters in Division I.
How many?
We'll carry anywhere from 24 to 28 players.
Well, that's really
right
small.
now,
That's
yeah.
because like most rosters are 35.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah. And that's one of the beauties of being at Yale, in that you have the ability to play right away. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with one of our guys this past weekend. We were down at Princeton, and we ended up sweeping them, but we were down at one point in one of the games, and it was the result of a freshman pitcher who just struggled.
Yeah.
And this was the second game, the 3-game series, and he was really disappointed with himself that he felt he let the team down. And so it was in between games, and he and I are having the conversation. He's like, "Coach, I just don't I don't want to let my teammates down." And we talked about the challenges of being a pitcher, pitching at the Division I level as a freshman, especially against one of your rivals.
Yes.
And one of the things that attracts players to Yale is that they're going to have the opportunity to play as a freshman. And with that, again, we talk about how we develop leadership. They learn about themselves through the challenges of transitioning from high school to the college level and the Division I level, and the speed of the game, and learning all of that while also competing for a starting position. And that's, I think, one of the attractions of coming to Yale. So you could play 4 years. And if you only have 4 years of college to play, it goes by really fast.
So fast.
And so why not maximize those 4 years? If you love the game, you want to be on the field in competitive environment as much as possible.
Yeah, the bench is not as fun.
And that's what makes the Ivy League attractive, is that you can come in and play as a freshman and compete at a high level of Division I baseball and do it for 4 years.
That's amazing. I love that. No, and I think that the way you talk about the way that you communicate with your players is a lot about how much you care about them as a person on and off the field, which is really, really beautiful, and we absolutely love that. You talk about the position players versus the pitchers and what you're looking for necessarily. Is there anything that you've noticed around the development, around the getting in the weight room for both the position player and pitcher over the last few years that you've really implemented, especially with the great facilities here?
Yeah, so we're fortunate. Our strength coach does an outstanding job and has the resources to be able to build out our strength program. That's obviously year-round based on at what point in the year we are. That we have access to be able to provide feedback to our players year-round, even when they're not on campus. And we're fortunate that in the summer we have 12 to about 10 to 14, let's say, players on campus at any time, because they can work out at our
that's fantastic. They're here. That's great.
Coach. And then we're fortunate to have summer ball. It's really competitive summer ball teams in the area.
NECBL?
The NECBL and the Futures League are the two that are in this area, that they can live in New Haven.
Oh, that's great.
And then be on campus. Some guys actually work through Yale, so they're making some money. They're working out at our facilities, and then they're playing summer ball. Or sometimes they're doing virtual internships in New York, right? Because New York's so close, you can take the train down. And now, post-COVID, with virtual internships, they can do an internship where they only need to be in the office 1 or 2 days a week, and then they're able to play summer ball as a result of that. But our strength program allows for us, because we have a strength coach who is with us all the time. He travels with us to games. He's at our practices, that he can then observe what our pitchers are doing, what our position players are doing, and then within those two groups individually, where guys are, right? And with the smaller roster, guys, again, like I said, they're playing. You play a lot here. And that allows for them to not only develop on the field, but then also we have to learn how to take care of their bodies through nutrition and our strength program and our other sport performance programming, for proper recovery to get through the season, so that way our guys have their legs on their own at the end of the year, but they're also continuing to build their strength and explosiveness and speed throughout the season and then into the off season.
Oh, and I did want to touch on that for a second. You said internships. I think that's amazing that you've been able to let kids get internships and play summer ball. How have you been able to facilitate it in the program? That's really, really powerful for the players' personal development.
So we've done it a number of ways. Mostly it's through our alumni because they're so engaged. We do an alumni networking night in New York every December before.
And they have the Yale Club there too.
So
right?
we do it at the Yale
Oh
Club.
yeah.
So it's cool because the guys take the train
Yeah,
into the city. We go to the Yale Club, have this event where we bring in alumni, mostly from the Northeast, from DC up. But then also guys will fly in because it's such a cool event, and then it allows for our alumni and our players to engage and interact. So for our alumni, it's an opportunity to meet our guys and can build a relationship with them over their 4 years here, and then to put a face and a personality behind what they're watching, on the ESPN game feed or seeing their name in the box score. But then it allows for our guys to connect with them. Not only, again, we go back to the communication piece, right? To learn how to communicate and interact with our alumni in this case, but also for this is how life's going to work after you graduate, right? Like you have to be able to go up to somebody and have conversations with them and be able to carry that conversation. And then our alumni are basically accessible to our players through different, essentially different kind of means of us connecting our guys to them. So for example, we have a player who came to me last week who originally came in here because he thought he wanted to study economics. And this is also something that's really important for high school students to appreciate, is that you don't have to pigeon your hole into one certain academic area because you think that that's what you have to do to justify your college education. And oftentimes that's economics, right, to go into finance and make a lot of money, or it's going into pre-med to be a doctor or a surgeon, or it's to go into political science to eventually go into law school, right? Those are all the sexy professions. They graduate from Yale and then you go into law school. And we need great lawyers, and Yale has the top law school in the country, right?
In the world.
But at the same time, we also need great teachers, and we need great people within the arts, and we need other areas with great politicians and great scientists and researchers and great architects to build amazing buildings like the one that we're in. And so I had this player come to me and said, I thought I wanted economics. I'm not enjoying the subject matter. I think I want to go into government. And I need to learn more about the different areas in which we can do that at Yale, whether that's through political science or we have a really cool ethics, politics and economics major, EP major.
That's what I did at Penn.
Okay, yeah, exactly. And then we have the Sci Center here, which combines and brings in different subject areas from engineering to political science to bring in our law school to teach more current event type classes and subjects. So I put him in touch. So first of all, I reached out to a bunch of our alumni and said, hey, I've got this player. This is who he's looking to talk with. And it was probably about like 6 or 7 alumni who I thought could help kind of give me some ideas of who I can connect them with. And one of our alums, as a matter of fact, he's the president of our Baseball Alumni Association, said, oh yeah, I've got somebody actually who's on campus who's a fellow with the Yale Law School.
Wow.
Who was the Deputy National Security Advisor in the Biden administration. And I'll just shoot him a text right now and he can meet him. And within 2 days, I've got the player meeting with John Feiner. So those are the different ways. Jack Oman, one of our weekend pitchers and somebody who's had
there's a lot of press on him. He's a very, very talented player.
Wants to someday, after his playing career is over, and hopefully he ends up playing professional baseball and within the major leagues for a wonderful career, wants to then stay in baseball and either help run a team or some form of Major League Baseball involvement. And so we connected him with Theo Epstein because Theo obviously has all of that experience, and Theo lives in Connecticut now and is engaged
that's great. I love that.
In our program. So he's serving as a mentor, right? Like, so those are the different ways in which we're engaging our alumni, but for our guys to continue to learn and access all the aspects that Yale has to offer.
Unbelievable. That's so great. And so one aspect that doesn't get talked a lot about with college athletics is the parents. Mm-hmm. What would you advise the parents? How can they be more supportive and help their student athlete through this process? And what are some of the things that you would say we should probably try to stay away from?
So we talk about the importance of our athletes learning to communicate and to communicate throughout the recruiting process. Because again, that's something that we're looking for, because we're going to need to communicate as coaches and players and build that relationship. Well, it's also important that parents think about how they communicate with coaches, because at the end of the day, parents heavily influence the athlete's experience in college.
Yes.
For the good or for the detriment. Yep. And coaches are paying attention to parents in terms of how they're communicating, in this case with their sons, or how they're communicating with coaches, because they're going to be a part for us of the Yale Baseball family, right? It's a big part of who we are, is our parents and our parents group. So that would be my first suggestion. The second is to be the information gatherers for their sons or daughters, if it's a women's sport, where the thing that the parents can do is to help gather information that would allow for their son to make an informed decision. But not to have their finger on the pulse of their son ultimately making the decision, because it's not their experience. And oftentimes, like, I'll hear parents talk about, like, oh, we're signed up for the SAT, or we're going to this camp or showcase. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, the last time I checked, you lost all of your eligibility. You're not playing in that showcase. Or like, last time I checked, you're not sitting for that SAT. But they get so caught up in their son's recruiting experience that oftentimes they become too heavy-handed in that experience. And unfortunately, it detracts from the joy that is the recruiting process for their son or daughter. Because their son or daughter only gets to go through the experience once, right? The recruiting process once. And it could be a really enjoyable experience. You get to go to all these different colleges and meet all these different coaches and college players and play at the camps and be on these cool campuses, in addition to playing travel ball and playing, high school baseball at a really high level. How cool is that, right? And you had mentioned, how much you'd love to be back in college, and so would I. And the same thing goes for the process. Like, I loved my college recruiting process.
It's fun.
But if we layer too many pressures on top of it, to include if parents kind of project onto what they think their son or daughter might want, it has a way of taking away from the joy of that experience. And if parents can help their son by setting up to go to these different camps, right, and to help them learn how to get information. Like the recruiting process can be a really good learning experience for a high school student, right? They're only 16 and 17 years old going through a process, but they've got to make the most important decision in their life up to that point. And one of the most important life-impacting decisions that they're going to make, in addition to getting married and buying a house and your profession, going to college is right up there, and it's going to be made by a 16 or 17-year-old. And so that's a really tall order. And I think oftentimes parents think, oh, okay, I have to make the decision for my son. It's like, no, help your son navigate this process. So that way, ultimately, when the time comes to make a decision, he has all the right information about each institution, but also understands how he fits with each institution in terms of what he wants out of that college experience. And then at the end of the day, if you've done that, he's going to make a good decision, ultimately. And then, lastly, we talked a little bit about in terms of how I coach and lead and whatnot. And one of the things that we take a lot of pride in terms of how we educate our guys is through narrating leadership, and talking about the different ways in which they can lead and be active leaders. Because one of the things that I feel sets our program apart is that I'm not interested in leading by example. That's something that all of our players should be doing. They're at Yale. Yeah. They're Yale athletes. They're incredibly intelligent, incredibly motivated. So in that right, they're leaders in their own right? So that's the baseline. Can I narrate and help them kind of blend where they are and lead them to understand how to be active leaders within the team based on the strengths that they have as people and as teammates and as baseball players.
What are some of the common majors your guys study?
Oh, all over. That's one of the things that we really try to do is ask guys to open their eyes to different subject areas in their first 2 years here, so that way they can pursue something that they're passionate about. One of the benefits about being at Yale is that you are going to learn how to think, you're going to learn how to communicate, you're going to learn how to write, You're going to learn how to analyze. You're going to learn how to lead. So after you graduate, you have all of the tools to succeed in whatever profession and career that you go into, regardless of what you studied while you were here. Because all of those things that I just mentioned, all of those tool sets, can be applied to all different aspects of different professions and careers. So I encourage them to study what they're passionate about, and then they'll pursue a career path with the foundational skills that are going to set them up for success. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're a Yale graduate, you could pursue anything in life, and as long as you're passionate about it and work hard and disciplined, you're going to be successful.
Completely agree. That Yale degree, it can go anywhere in the world and have a great opportunity. So we're going to do a this or that rapid fire round. So this is just you. First thing that comes to your mind, you go with it. We trust you. We believe in you.
Okay.
Let's see where we're at. So first, baseball metrics. Batting average or exit velocity?
Exit velocity, I can teach a guy to hit for average.
ERA or throwing velocity?
We'll go with ERA, because we just had this conversation in the office about the importance of being able to throw strikes, and that there are more important metrics, or metrics that are just as important as throwing velocity.
The walks
to be able to spin it and keep hitters off balance.
Stolen bases or 60-yard dash?
Stolen bases. At the end of the day, you got to learn how to get to first to second or second to third, or in our case, third home.
I love hearing the third home.
And you don't always have to be the fastest guy in the field to do that.
Slugging percentage or home runs?
Slugging percentage, because if you have a high slugging percentage, you're able to hit situationally and drive in runs as well, in addition to obviously hitting home runs.
Okay, now recruiting or in development? GPA or test scores?
Both. Non-negotiables.
Yeah. Showcases or tournaments?
Tournaments. I want to see guys compete.
Emails or DMs?
DMs, faster, more efficient.
What's the best DM? Instagram or Twitter?
Both are good. Yeah, there's not one or the other that are better.
AP classes or multi-sport athlete?
It depends on who you're asking. If you're asking me, multi-sport athlete.
Yeah.
If you're asking our admissions director, AP classes. So both again.
Projection or present production? So
Projection.
Projection.
Projection. That's what we do. We project high school players to whether or not they can play at this level.
What's one? Okay, now these are more open-ended, so you could kind of just go riff with it however you want. One recruiting myth that needs to die.
That you choose a school because it's at the top of the list of whatever rankings. But instead, you should be choosing a school because it's the right fit for you.
Pick the right fit, not just the U.S. News. One mistake most families make.
That's a really good question. I would say that Division I is the end-all, be-all, that there are some really great opportunities outside Division I baseball.
I agree. One thing athletes should start doing earlier.
Taking AP classes.
I love that. Hey, academics, APs all the way. One thing parents should stop doing.
Directly communicating with coaches in the recruiting process.
Yeah, empower your son or daughter to be that person and let them grow as a professional. That's a great piece of advice. One coaching lesson you learned the hard way.
There are many. I would say to be a transformational coach and not a transactional coach, to love your players and care about them.
I love that. Same goes for building a company. Like, you really want to care about your people and make sure they have the best life possible. One thing people misunderstand about Ivy League baseball.
The level of talent in the Ivy Leagues is significantly higher than what most people think.
I love that. One thing recruits underestimate about playing at Yale.
They overestimate that the academics are overwhelming, because one of the neat things about Yale is that you come here and get to be a normal college student. And this is one of the neat things about the Ivy League, is that the academic experience is not overwhelming. It's not. You wouldn't get in here if you couldn't handle it. But the special thing about the experience here is that you get to compete at a high level of Division I baseball. You get to aspire academically, and then you get to be a normal college student, because we're not on the road so much that you're never in class. And that's one of the biggest challenges at the highest level of Division I, is that you're never on campus. And this campus is what makes the experience special and unique, and it's where you learn. It's where you interact with people. And so that's the one myth, I think, is that, I can't go to Yale because I'll get overwhelmed with the academic experience. That's not the case at all. Like I mentioned, it's just one component of the overall experience. The reason why you go here is because you get to do that in addition to being a normal college student, in addition to being able to play high-level Division I baseball.
Completely agree. So we're getting closer to the wrap here, and we're so appreciative all the time. You're so inspiring. What would your 60-second pitch be to someone who wants to come play at Yale?
Well, I would say that if you are passionate about baseball and passionate about pursuing life to its fullest, and that you have a high level of discipline, this would be a really good fit, because we're able to bring in a semblance of like-minded athletes like you, who are going to work really hard to compete and aspire to win championships. And competing and winning championships is a lot of fun, but the path to get there is even more enjoyable. Oftentimes, players get caught up in playing baseball because it's fun. And yeah, it is, right? In those big moments, especially those high-leverage situations, you get to play in that competitive environment. It is. But it's the journey of learning about yourself and competing in the discipline that baseball requires to be successful, that those who thrive in that environment would have a great experience here.
What type of player should not choose Yale?
Somebody who's in it for the adulation.
Respect. I like the honesty. That's good. What do you want your legacy to be at Yale?
Well, what's interesting is I was recently looking back at of all the coaches who've come before me. There are 5 Yale coaches who played in the major leagues. 5. And there's this storied tradition of coaches that I've been fortunate to kind of stand on their shoulders. But at the same time, it allows for me to appreciate all that's expected of me. And as I mentioned earlier, that Fay Vincent, the former commissioner of Major League Baseball, went to Yale Law School. I was actually a Williams guy. I went to Williams undergrad. He and I got to become friends toward the end of his life. And he gave money to endow the Yale head baseball coach position in his father's name. His father was a football captain here at Yale, graduating in the class of 31. And we had conversations about what he envisioned leadership from the place of the Yale baseball coach to be. And one of the things that made Fay Vincent such a great commissioner is that he cared deeply about the people that he was in charge of, ultimately, the players, the umpires. He was a great friend of many umpires within the game. But he was somebody who was genuine and had humility and cared about other people and other people's enterprise. And that's something that I want to leave here in the way that I coach, is to care about my players in a way that they have an enjoyable experience, but they leave here better than when they arrived. And at the same time, hopefully have had a lot of success in the baseball field. So if I can do that, then I'll be, I'll feel like it was a successful career here. But like I said, I have a lot to live up to.
You're doing an incredible job, and we're, again, so indebted for you to be able to share your story with us today. Such an inspiring leader. If you want to come play at baseball at the highest level and get one of the best degrees in the entire world, this is a special place to be. Can't recommend it enough, and we can't thank you enough for your time today. Please click, like, subscribe, comment down below. We're really trying to bring more and more great storytellers to the forefront so you can better educate yourself on what we could be able to do, empower athletes through education. Thank you so much for your time today, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks for spending it with me.